Welcome to the J-Train podcast. It's J-Train Jared Freid coming to you live from the quarantine cabin on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We are here Mondays and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Thank you. That's how it all works. You might be wondering, how does this podcast thing go? What's the gasoline that goes into the J-Train? You're probably wondering this on a daily basis. I'll let you know. This is all user generated. The whole thing. The whole house is built by you. You listen, you enjoy, you get your ha's, you send in your emails, we discuss your problems, you tell a friend, a coworker, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa, you make it your Instagram story. Ooh, does that feather my nuts? It feels so good. It feels like a bunch of little fairies came fluttering up to my balls with their wings, and they put their wings to my balls, and they just flap, 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 flap. That's what it feels like. It feels so good. It feels amazing. So keep telling your friends. This is summertime is the podcast time. You might not know this. Summertime is really when we've gone up. We hit another level every summer. There is a little bump because people are lonely. People have more walks, more drive backs from the beach, more, sullen moments out by the sea. They need a podcast. Put their brain on the shelf and let Papa JT take the wheel. And also, I'm putting out videos on my Instagram to try and bring people in. These videos aren't for you to it's a little taste. I'm the ice cream store. I'm giving little free samples so that people order a cone. So I need you to put some customers in my queue. Tag a friend, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa. Also, Patreon. We're almost at, I want to get to the next level of Patreon, not just because I love what we're doing on Patreon. I'm getting used to the schedule. These things aren't great right away, but there's people here listening that are Patreon subscribers, and they love it. I love doing it. I'm doing 3 mini podcasts a week. Wednesday, Luxury Lounge. I complain about luxury issues. Friday, One More Email. It's a longer email I don't get to on the podcast. Sunday, Coffee with J-Train. That's really where I let it rip. That's where I'm really getting deep on those Coffee with J-Train episodes. So, patreon.com/Jared Freid. All of these links are in the description of today's episode. Very excited. Today's guest, an OKP, original key player. She has a brand new podcast. That's right. Ring that bell. Ew, ew, ew. New podcast alert. And she's an OKP, original key player. I love having her on. It's called Ruined, and it's out right now. The first 3 episodes are out. They're waiting for you. Get subscribed. If you're a fan of the podcast, you know her, you love her. Allison Libby, everybody. Thank you for coming on, Allison.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
This is amazing.
Ring the bell, sound the alarm. It's it doesn't matter. They're all the same.
Sound the alarm, ring the bell, play the ship's horn. Ooh. Now, Allison, this is you have your own podcast now. You've been a regular guest here.
After doing this one so many times, I was like, how do I get a little taste of that?
Get a taste of that sweet podcast action.
I don't know.
We've discussed you having a podcast for a while, so it's cool that you're getting in the game.
Finally, I feel like, I got to podcasts in 2020. I really know. I'm ahead of the curve always.
Always really ahead of things. You're like, I'm getting into podcasts. I'm going to try I'm going to get the iPhone.
Yeah, I think TikTok is something. I don't know. We'll find in 2025. I'll find out what TikTok is when
You'll get to TikTok as soon as we're not allowed on. Yeah, when
right.
We're taking the monorail to China. What? Give the people what they want. Let them know what the podcast is, because I know from this podcast you're beloved. People love you on this show. So
the only place.
It should be an easy subscription for
1-to-1.
a free podcast, free entertainment,
free
from someone you already know and love. So Let people know it's called Ruined.
It's called Ruined. One of my really good friends, Hallie Kiefer, another great writer, comedian, brilliant, funny person, is a horror movie obsessive. I'm terrified of them. I only watch rom-coms. I'm like you.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, this is about as scary as I can handle it. Like one bad date.
Sure.
But like, I'm always like, well, what happened? Like, tell me what happens in it. I want to know. Like, I want to know what happened in Us. I'm never going to see it. I'm terrified. So
I get you.
In each episode, she kind of like tells me what happens. We play some games. We talk about scary stuff. But it's all very funny. It's like two gals sleepover style, just kind of like swapping stories.
So you do a movie each podcast?
Yeah, each episode is a different movie. We do some like popular ones. We do some like weirdo, like fringe ones.
So I love this because I actually do listen to a couple movie-related podcasts.
Oh.
So
good.
I am familiar.
We're not the first? Oh,
You're not the first. 2020, there's only like maybe one other movie. No, I listen to a couple movie-related podcasts, and I'll say to the listenership, the worst movie podcasts are the ones where you can really, I mean, not the worst, but like the toughest ones to listen to are the ones where you pick and choose. You can only listen to the episodes where it's a movie you've seen.
Right.
This
is for everyone.
If
you've seen it and you love horror movies, like you will like it because Hallie is so enthusiastic and she's so good at talking about them and so funny that it's just fun to listen to. And if you haven't seen it, we only do things that are like not in the box office, so we're not ruining anything for like, you know, we're not gonna spoil an industry. I mean, there's no box office.
It's on VHS at this point.
There's no box office anymore. Yeah. What are we talking about? But if you if you haven't seen it, it's still there for you. Like it's all. I'm the one who hasn't seen it. I never see these movies.
Sure. So you could do a few things. You could be like, I'm a huge fan of this movie.
Yep.
Hallie's gonna explain it, and kind of when someone explains something that you've already seen and love, it is funnier when they're like adding jokes to it and they're talking about the nuances, the things that don't make sense, the things that do make sense.
Yes.
These are all fun things from the I've seen it point of view. If you're like me, and I'm like a lot like you, where it's like, I don't want to go to the movies to get a sweat.
No.
Like, no. I don't want to like have something jump out at me and then make me deal with the own horrors in my brain. I don't want to deal with that.
It's a horror movie all day, every day up in here, pointing to my head for people who are clearly only listening to this. But like, I don't need scarier stuff, especially right now. I don't need scarier stuff.
I want a horror movie explained to me in a funny way where they're like kind of caressing me to their nape as they do it.
Yes.
So from that perspective, you're all set. And here's a third perspective.
Okay.
You're looking for new things to watch. Everyone's looking for new content. You're like, oh my God, Allison and Hallie just planned my night. Friday night, I'm going to watch the movie they discussed. Then Saturday morning, when I go for a run, I'm going to take Hallie and Allison on the run with me to get me through another horror movie, which is working
running. Yes, running. Specifically running.
I should be... I gotta say, I should be in podcast marketing. I should have a side company.
You've got a whole machine.
Right?
You're
where
a whole
I just
machine.
explain the ways you should listen to people's podcasts.
That had it cross my mind, and we've been working on this for like a year.
I was proud of myself as I was saying.
Yeah, no, I could tell.
So... And if you're watching on YouTube, we're on YouTube, everybody. So please, hit that like button too. I'm excited for you. The podcast world is a fun world. It's a great way to like kind of do a different thing, to like work out a different comedy muscle. This is all great. And everyone listening, we have a huge listenership.
Yeah.
So you people are a powerful group that can really help out Allison in a way that costs you $0. So it costs you nothing to go on the podcast app with which you're listening to this right now, get subscribed to Ruined. It is, what day a week is it coming out? Tuesdays.
Coming out Tuesdays. So the first 3 are available, and then it'll be one a week. Every week it's a different movie.
So you're putting out 3 right away.
Right away. We got it all banked.
Love it. So there are 3 that are coming out to get you through the day. So go. Subscribe to Ruined right now. Allison's on Instagram. All of her socials will be on my socials today. So at Allison Libby on Twitter and Instagram. I I just had this happen, and I want to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
Mateo Lane, another OKP of the show, a fop, friend of the pod. He sent me a picture of a guy that he goes, look, I thought this was you. And like, when you scan a picture, I went from like head down and I was like, okay, he's in a backwards
like the way porn used to download on a computer with a dial-up.
That was it.
You're like, come on, get to the chest.
That's how I was brought up.
Yes.
So that's the only way I look at pictures. So if anyone was listening that was like, I'm not listening anymore after that noise.
That's fair.
So I kind of, and I get to the face, I go, the face, I see it. Anytime I'm told I look like someone, I know it's in the eyebrows right away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you have a thing where you're like, when someone tells you?
It's usually like long brown hair and glasses.
Right.
Like that person is always, everybody's like, it's like you. And I'm like, I mean, sure.
Sure. And that's the only way to preserve your own ego is I go, like, if someone sends me a picture of someone, I just go, great brows, and I don't even look at it. I leave the premises. I run from the
You can't
house.
dwell. You cannot sit there and start picking apart like cheekbones, teeth. Like I can't.
What? That's the thing. Telling someone who they look like is a lot like criticism. If you don't put as much time into the critique as I put into creating the product, I don't respect your criticism.
Yeah.
If you don't put as much time into thinking of my body in the way that I think about my body, I don't want to fucking hear my doppelganger.
It reminds me of that great old Chelsea Peretti joke where she's like, oh, my friend's mom the other day goes, oh, I saw an ugly Chelsea the other day. It looked like you, but uglier. And she's like, you just saw an ugly person and thought of me.
It's true.
It's true. It's so funny.
And in Chelsea Peretti's joke, she's right, because she has her thing on her face that she would not like be like. She'd be like, listen, Chelsea Peretti's a beautiful woman, but she has a very specific face, and nose, So I'm sure in her mind she's like, the same way you or I would say it. I would go, if someone was like, oh, I saw someone uglier than you, I'd be like, oh yeah, that person saw someone with strong eyebrows and fatter than me.
Yeah, right.
It's
always fatter.
Yeah, always that. This one, the guy was hotter. So I went down the body, full abs, and he's shirtless.
No,
and
thanks.
I said, Mateo, what do I go, I just ate oatmeal. I was feeling good about myself. And like Mateo's just as hot as this dude.
Right, I know. Yeah, Mateo's like, it's so funny. You're like, okay, but like calm down. You could like grate cheese on your abs. Relax. Like,
yeah. So do you get like, what I'm talking about, the look-alike thing?
It's awful because like it's never an identical twin where you're like, oh, that's what I look like. Okay, I'm fine. It's always either like better looking than you and therefore ruins your day / life, or worse looking than you. And for a second you're like, I'm better looking, and then you're like, but that's what someone thinks I look like.
Yes, that on the scale, that's the phylum I land in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
There's no good. You should never do it. There was this woman when I worked in Midtown, and I used to see her at this coffee shop when I would like go to get coffee every morning. And my friend and I called her Allison 2.0 because she was like just truly exactly like me, and like on paper, just like, average height. She was like just slightly thinner than me, like a little bit better body, like same dressing, like same style and clothing, but just like everything. Like if I was wearing like, J. Crew, she's in theory, it's all just it's leveled up just like a little bit. No, that's a bigger jump, but we know what we're talking about.
She's the upsell.
Yeah. She had like shinier, but like super long dark hair and like wore glasses. And I was like, I can't have this woman in my world. I just can't.
That's the thing. That's the normal reaction, is like, get away from me. I don't want to see the thing I could hypothetically be.
Right.
Like, and I, like, what never happens is you never go, like, I would never go up to that like the 2.0 version of me and go, hey man, what are you doing? Like,
what's your secret?
Yeah. Can I get your like eating plan for the week?
Can you just write down your email and we'll kind of go over? I have a whole thing I need to ask you.
I'll hire you like $10 a day. Is that okay to give me like, that's actually the only reason I would pay the better version of me $10 a day to just give me what they're doing on a daily basis. I want to know their steps, what they're eating, and what they have after 8 o'clock at night. Like, I want to know that type of thing.
Right.
So I don't know. Just another day at the terrible factory. Very excited to have Allison here. Let's do some emails. You ready?
Let's do some emails.
jtrainpodcast@gmail.com, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening right now, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. That's right, Cleveland, Ohio. I'm doing shows at Hilarities, jaredfreid.com if you're in the area and you're listening to this last minute. I'm also coming to Long Island. Long Island.
Ooh.
That's right. You know where else I'm coming to? Let me go through the fall schedule because, Allison's been here before. She knows the deal, so we don't have to do all the explanation and all the... But you got to go listen to Allison's podcast called Ruined. Okay. Cleveland, Long Island. And these are all subject to change considering we live in a hellscape of a world right now. So Cleveland, Long Island, Philadelphia, Providence, Dallas, New York, Raleigh, Tacoma, Spokane, D.C., and that's what we got right now. So hopefully those happen and I can pay my mortgage, but we'll see. So come on out, jaredfreid.com, jaredfreid.com. Let's do the emails. Making friends during COVID.
Okay.
Jared, longtime listener of J-Train and You Up, but my first time writing in. I'm going to my sophomore year of college, but unfortunately, my semester was just announced to be proceeding virtually. I am extremely frustrated with this announcement because I feel like I also had my freshman year cut short and therefore my chance to make any friends at my new school. I totally understand this issue.
Absolutely.
Like, if we want to take a trip into our, time machine and go back to freshman year of college, it's the difference between who your friends are after freshman year and who they are after sophomore year.
Even first semester and second semester of freshman year. Like,
totally.
Even that is the people you hang out with who are just like truly proximity friends. You're like, these people live next door. These are my friends versus once you're out there for a couple months and you start to meet people in classes and clubs and like join things and parties.
Absolutely. Fraternity, sorority, clubs, whatever you end up in. It's kind of like it's like a cake baking together. Like, it doesn't fully form until it's been in the oven for a bit.
Yeah. It's just a goo.
You're just a goo. And like, I remember freshman year fall semester, there was a guy, and I went to you and I went to bigger schools. I went to an even bigger school than you. So, I remember seeing people freshman year, first semester, and then seeing them the second time senior year at, graduation and being like, where have you been?
Yes. What happened to this person? And this was before Facebook and where you were, keeping tabs on everyone. It was like, there was a world in the past, and I'm sure young people can't understand this, where you would meet someone and be friends with them and then never see them again and have no idea what happened to them.
Absolutely. And there's good and bad to that. I guess I guess the bad of it is man, we could have maybe been friendly, but we weren't. We weren't, and the good of it is you're not sitting on your computer being like, I guess that person's doing great, or seeing a window
Christelle
into their
got married. Cool. I mean, I haven't spoken to her in 10 years.
Jess was on my computer earlier and it popped up on the screen the birthdays synced from Facebook, and she's like,
knows?
she goes, oh, it's John Smith's birthday. I'm like, don't know that person. She's reading it out loud. I'm like, I don't know any of these fucking people.
No.
And so I understand, though I know this sounds like a quote unquote first world problem, especially with the current state of the world.
No, this is a very real one.
No, this is a real problem.
When I think about who is the most deeply impacted by what's happening in the world right now, and I think about it's people who are in transitional parts of their life because it got completely shut down. If you were even people who were just got out of a marriage and are now single for the first time in 15 years, or
totally.
If you're going from college or high school to college or college to the real world, if you were entering a new phase of your life that required living your life and it wasn't set up for you yet in the way that I think, even though everyone has suffered, ours has certainly been heavily impacted professionally, but you have your friends, you have your world, you have what the world looks like. It's just all now indoors. Whereas when you're still making friends in college and figuring out who you are and what you want to be, which is what that year is. Ugh, it makes me so sad.
Yeah, it sucks. And I would say to this emailer, he or she, whatever it is, I would say to this person, like, don't do that. I know this is a first world problem. And we are living in the times of you either have atrocity or no problems at all. Let me just say to you, you came to the right place with your first world problems. They will be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
You will be nuzzled to our napes as we discuss your first world, because it's happening a lot right now, and it really bothers me, is because you can always outdo someone's problems.
Right. Like there's sadness, one-upsmanship is like human nature. Like, you think you have it bad, I have it worse.
Yeah,
like,
I've been calling it one-downsmanship.
One-downsmanship, yes. that's exactly what it is.
That's what it is, because you see it. Like, listen, again, you can be aware of bigger issues while having your own issues.
Yes,
both can be happening at the same time.
No problems exist in vacuums. Like, no. This is the world. Like, it is a big, and also, like, yes, this is a first world problem in that you're enrolled in a university. You're in a, like, great, sure. Yeah, sure. But, like, human connection is a baseline, very important thing, regardless of any other status in your life. Like, this is a real problem.
Totally. It's something that's been weighing heavily on my heart and caused me a lot of anxiety. For context, I graduated high school in 2017, but was unable to go immediately to college for financial reasons. I took 2 years off to work and build up credit, and have since been putting myself through school. This is an amazing story.
That's incredible.
But because of this, though, I feel very far behind my peers socially. I am a pretty shy person at first, so I really struggle to start conversations with new people. This made it difficult for me to make friends. My first semester at school, especially because I was commuting. Second semester, I finally joined some clubs, got involved in campus, but it was obviously cut short due to COVID. Now that this fall will be online as well, I'm wondering what I can do to make myself feel like I haven't fallen behind. Most of my friends are entering their senior years, so they have off-campus housing at their school and won't be nearby for me to see them often. What is the best way for me to meet new people during this time? Is there any way? In my state, things have been opened up for about a month now, and things seem to be getting better as far as COVID is concerned. Any advice you can give on this topic would be super helpful. Thank you for all the advice you give. Love you and love the pod. Feather, shy sophomore. It's a beautifully written email.
Yes.
I appreciate, again, just like you said, problems don't happen in a vacuum. The story she tells is vacuumless. Like, right. Oh, you took a couple years off.
There's so much context.
There's so much context, and I totally understand where they're coming from. And like, listen, I think Gen Z might be different as I'm learning more about Gen Z.
Very.
We went to college, and I say we loosely because you went to a very good school. You went to Cornell. I went to Penn State, which people think is Penn, but it's not. It's
that's always a brutal correction to have to make.
I never make it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I go, you're right. They go, wow, Penn. And I go, yeah, that's right. So economics major.
Same 4 letters,
Same. So, and I know that Penn people do correct Penns when they get the other way.
Of course.
So I will say, I know that for me, and a part of kind of the millennial oeuvre is that a lot of us went to school for the experience. A lot of us went to school for my parents were very cavalier with go have fun, live on your own. And I think Gen Z is kind of not in that. They're a little bit more realistic, it seems like.
Yeah, and they've seen what's happened to us, which is people in crushing student loan debt with useless degrees, being like, "What?" And they're looking at that and they're like, "Well, this is a cautionary tale, and maybe we need to rethink a little bit of how this works."
Sure. And this person who's writing in graduated high school in 2017, spent 2 years working to get their credit out, putting themselves through college. I'm like, wow, you're an amazing person. I'm excited. I'm motivated by this person's email.
Me too.
But the email comes from the perspective of they also want the college experience that we kind of was about. So how do you suggest?
I mean, it's tough without knowing the specifics of roughly is this person, I assume, is off campus, on campus?
So
it sounds like they might be on campus now.
Sounds like they're on campus because that was a part of what they wrote. That was like, they said they couldn't get their first semester. And then second semester, I finally joined some clubs, got involved on campus, but was obviously cut short due to COVID.
My guess is that if it's opening up a little bit, depending on what the school is and like what state they live in and how serious they think the pandemic is, that like there will be like kind of a flourish of outdoor campus activities happening.
Yes,
and I think this actually will work in this person's benefit because the stakes are a lot lower if you're walking up to an outdoor group and then you could just walk away if you don't like it. You didn't enter a room and have everybody watch you sit down in a meeting. You were just walking by.
That is, I never would have thought of that. You're absolutely right.
Because that's what it is. It's the anxiety of like trying to make friends and break into a group. Like this kind of does take the like all eyes on the new person like off of you a little bit. And it is a little more, I think it will be when I see just like outdoor hangs and stuff going on around the city, even like, it seems a little like I feel like I could walk up to some of those groups and be like, "What are you guys doing?"
Totally, and because there's no the actual lack of physical walls, is again, you can walk in, you can walk out. Like, isn't that fantastic? I would also say she writes something in her email that she joined clubs and got involved on campus. I think if your school is happening virtually, these clubs will be happening virtually. Like these people are as motivated as you to continue to make life as quote unquote normal as it can be. Yes. So what I would say to this person is like, dig into these groups because I'll say this. There's a group of people that listen. Let me give this person a fantastic story that also makes this podcast sound even better. So it's a double win for me.
Win-win.
And I hope it motivates this person to do more with these groups and reach out to these people. So when I was doing Beach by Happy Hour, which you were a part of,
so much fun.
And we did the drinking, there was a cocktail and people would watch with friends. And then people who watched created their own Zoom chats. There is a group of people that now is like making trips together from that Zoom chat. So they're legitimately like doing a birthday party over Zoom tonight. They're all coming to my Philadelphia show. So
amazing.
It's amazing. But like, I will say this, I never would have done that. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
The idea that they created their own Zoom because they watched something that, we did, which and then taking that to the next level and going, let's plan a trip together. Now that we've all hung out, we like each other, we're on a group chat, and we have this one podcast in common. So what I'm saying, the reason I bring this up is because these groups that you already have joined, people are motivated to just get some sort of human interaction and be around people that have the same interests as them.
Yeah.
So reach out to people who run the group. Hey, are we going to do any sort of Zoom event for the group? Would you be interested in doing a Zoom event for the group? I think it would be fun to do like a happy hour or like we'll play a game or let's get the group together. So like the idea that she's already like planted the seeds for these groups. Yes. Know the people who to contact, get in touch with them. Let's create events that like, and also like, it's kind of how this podcast was created where it's like, I was like, I need something to do. I'm going to create a podcast. And it starts at that.
Yeah.
So if you just say, I'm doing a Zoom with the whole group, whatever that becomes, it becomes. Let's not worry about that. Let's just get everyone together.
Right. And like, I feel like and maybe Gen Z feels a little bit differently, but like, I feel like we have a little bit of a stigma, millennials, of like meeting digital, well, maybe not like, because like online dating became a thing, but it's like your FaceTimes and your texting and your Zoom hangs like are actually building real friendship for real life. Like that is real. So like, as you engage in those, like it will transfer to real.
Don't minimize it.
Don't feel like just because you're not on campus going to the meeting in real life doesn't mean that it's not actually building towards like something meaningful.
They're gonna happen soon. We are sponsored, people. J-Train Podcast is brought to you by Feel CBD. Hey, listen, I'm not breaking any news by telling you that stress is high, anxiety is high, sleeplessness is high. And I've been taking Feel CBD, and it's made a difference for me. I enjoy it. I take it in the morning, and just takes that little edge off of me that has been with me to start my day really in the last year or so. And I feel good taking Feels in the morning. And if you feel a little anxious or just can't fall asleep, you're not alone. I'm with you. We all feel that way. And that's why you should try Feels CBD. Feels is premium CBD delivered directly to your doorstep. If you've never tried CBD before, let me demystify it for you. It will not get you high. It just makes you feel a little bit more relaxed, nothing more. There's no high hangover addiction. Feels gets to work fast. Just put a few drops under your tongue and boom, you'll be feeling the difference within minutes. If you've never tried CBD, and I was one of those people. I was a guy that was like, I don't know, what could it help? I don't know. And also some people are just nervous. Feels is the best place to start because I was unsure, but it makes the dosage is very clear, and I recommend that you start with a little dosage and you work your way up until you feel it right. And if you're not sure, they'll hold your hand. They have a hotline. This is huge. They have a hotline with real humans. You can call anytime, and once you add CBD to your life, you're going to want to make it a regular part. I am one of those people. I have made it a regular part. I have called up Feels to be like, hey, keep sending the juice because I'm into it. And you'll say, so you can sign up with Feels so you get delivered every month and you'll save money on every order. So Feels helps me feel my best, and it can help you too. Special for my listeners, if you become a member today by going to feels.com/JTrain, that's FEALS.com/JTrain, you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/JTrain, feels.com/JTrain, to become a member and get 50% to automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. One more time, feels.com/JTrain, and feel better. We're sponsored, people. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Upstart. During these economically turbulent times, everyone is looking for a way to feel more financially secure. If you're still throwing money at a high-interest credit card every month, it's time to check out Upstart, the revolutionary lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score. Find out how low your Upstart rate can be today. I gotta say, Upstart is there are ways to find the extra change in your pocket, and it's a metaphor. There are ways to easily check into your life to see where you can find the extra buckaroos. This is a great way. Upstart goes beyond the traditional credit score. So Upstart's going to take a look at you. They actually reward you based on your education and job history in the form of a smarter rate. Skip the bank. It's completely online. Loans from $1,000 to $50,000. They make it fast, simple, and easy to check your rate. Since it's just a soft pull, it won't affect your credit score. The hard pull happens if you accept your rate. The best part? Once the loan is approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day. The next day, over 400,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards or meet their financial goals. Free yourself from the burden of high-interest credit card debt by consolidating everything into one monthly payment with Upstart. I think that's huge. The ability to organize your financial life, then you can say, oh, if you have debt across different platforms, you say, hey, we're going to put all the debt in one place and find out if my combined rate of all the debt is higher than the Upstart rate. Now you've just found some money in your pocket. That's what I mean by change in your pocket. So listen, see why Upstart has a 4.9 out of 5 rating on Trustpilot. Hurry to upstart.com/JTrain to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and won't affect your credit score. Only takes a few minutes. That's huge. It's not that's upstart.com/JTrain, upstart.com/JTrain. Here's the part the lawyers make me say. Your loan amount will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Not all applicants will qualify for the full amount. So go check out upstart.com/JTrain, upstart.com/JTrain. Check it out. See if you can save yourself a couple of bucks. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com, JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Allison Leiby. She's got a new podcast. You got to go subscribe right now. It's called Ruined. If you love horror movies, if you hate horror movies, it's for both of you. You can get someone, and I do listen to movie podcasts, and it is so fun to hear people rehash and play the games with the thing and talk about the stupid parts that were stupid. And so this is a great podcast called Ruined. Go, 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 go. Is working out together code for casual sex?
Ooh.
Jared, love the pod.
This question.
I just started dating during the pandemic after ending a 6+ year relationship. I'm 25, so that's about all my dating experience. So you have been my single life spiritual guide.
Good luck.
That could be a horror movie. So on to my question story. I met a guy on the apps who asked me to be his girlfriend very quickly. I agreed because it's pandemic. Jess in the background just yelled red flag. I think I thought the same thing. Allison, what do you think of a guy who asked to be...
Huge red flag.
That's the thing. When the
not huge, but red flag.
But this is like... It's like someone walking up to your door with a sack of money and going, I'd like to buy your house.
Right.
Like you go, okay, what's brought you here? I want to know more about your story, you know? Yes. So I agreed because it's a pandemic and I didn't really want to consider unsocial distancing dating unless I knew I was the only person he was seeing.
I will say him wanting to be her boyfriend and her be his girlfriend. Normal life, huge red flag. Pandemic, benefit of the doubt. It's like actually for safety, like if we're going to do anything, it kind of has to be exclusive. I will lightly be okay with this.
A light okay. After about 3 months, 1.5 of which were socially distant, he asked to have a conversation about where things were going. That turned into a 2+ hour long conversation that felt like he wanted me to know if he was my soulmate after 3 months. I decided on radical honesty because that's what you preach. Yeah, I think that's what you got to go. So I told him I wasn't confident it was my long-term match, and he agreed. However, I also said I was happy to just keep having fun because it's a pandemic and he's fun and safe human to be around.
Yeah.
She is normal.
Yes.
He is abnormal at this point.
Yes.
Okay. He called me the next day and ended it because he felt like we should both be more excited about where things were going. I totally understood and thought we left things on good terms. But then 3 days later, he texted me that he was just thinking it would be fun to work out together sometime if I need a workout partner. That's in quotes. Backstory, during the 1.5 months we weren't socially distancing, we would often meet up to work out, shower together, then have sex. Is this his way of testing if I'm open to casual sex? If so, why? I literally told him I was down to just keep having fun and not be serious, and he said no to that. What is his deal? This feels manipulative.
This is very confusing, and I don't like any of it.
Yeah,
I understand like where she's coming from with like, yeah, I've safely hung out with this person. I know I enjoy spending time with them. Like, I'm alone. It's a lot harder to be finding somebody right now. I totally get that. But this guy seems not like the person that's for. He's not down for casual in the way that you identify it.
I totally agree. And also, it's okay to say those things leading into.
Yes.
Like, when you say, like, when she says, like, listen, he's fun, he's safe, he wanted to be my girlfriend, my boyfriend right away, but, like, pandemic, I go, I'm with you. I'm right. With you. The minute he goes, I'm out, and then tries to walk it back, you can't make those rationalizations for him again.
No, it's once. You get one shot at that.
One shot. And the minute you start walking it back, that's when it becomes, again, manipulative. That's when it becomes like, what are you trying to get at, dude? Like, I gave you, like, and let's say like let's say at its minimum, let's say at its best, he got ahead of himself and then you gave an answer that like he didn't like. He walked away from it, and now he's like, oh, maybe I do want this with you. Like that. But that's, to me, like, it sounds like he has low confidence.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's trying to, like, lock you up to make decisions later.
Yeah.
And when he realized that there was no one else texting him, he was like, hey, want to work out and have sex again? Like, that's not someone that's exciting to date.
No.
For me.
My 2020 has been my year of in scenarios being like, are my needs being met? And like
Sure.
focus on, are my needs being met? And it's like sometimes the other person's fully are, but mine aren't. And I feel like this is a scenario where that's a good question to ask yourself. Like, are you getting what you would want out of this? I don't think you are, because it sounds like it's only giving you anxiety. And confusion. And
he's doing what you're saying.
Right.
He's trying to get his needs met. Then when they don't, he comes back with new needs, and he doesn't even address your needs.
Right.
I'd walk away from the situation. There's other people that your attitude in the email will be great for.
Yes, you're normal and thinking about things very rationally. So somebody else will come along that actually meets that.
jtrainpodcast@gmail.com, jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Here with Allison Libby at Allison Libby on all socials. You got to go listen to Ruined. Go, go, go. New podcast alert. Ring that bell. Go, go, go. How to motivate my boyfriend to get a job. Ooh.
A lot of winners today.
Yeah. You and Jess made the same noise. It's Winners Day here on the J Train podcast. Just killing it day. Jared, I'll get right to it. My boyfriend of 3 years and I just moved in together a week ago.
Okay.
I'm 21. Okay.
Woo. Okay.
I'm already not sure. It's youngin' day here.
Yeah.
I'm 21. He's 25. About a month ago, we chose this new apartment. He lost his job. Luckily, I had landed my first job out of college, making much more than I had expected, and I figured he would use his 4 weeks of severance pay to start the job search. Here's the problem. He hasn't. That is a sad intro to a movie. Like,
here's the problem. He's still on the couch.
It's been about 2 months since he lost his job, and I have yet to see any actual investment in the job search process. I wake up at 7:30 every day and work for 8 hours, and most days he doesn't get out of bed until 10 a.m. He just lounges around on his phone, scrolling through Facebook, playing games. Working from home.
It's kind of painful to hear as like a vaguely unemployed person who's doing the same thing.
It is. Well, that's the thing. Like, I was like, is this my day? Well, I
know what she's saying.
Well, she did have our emailers, the people who listen to the show are very aware, because she did put in bold lettering, working from home means I see this every day and it's becoming extremely frustrating. She put that in bold. That's the one sentence in the whole email in bold. He doesn't have a college degree. Okay, we're sliding down the sad mountain. And while he has committed to going back to school online in the spring, I know it's discouraging. Yeah, the spring. We could have done the fall.
Was spring.
Yeah, the leaves are still blooming.
It's still like 90 degrees outside.
I know it's discouraging for him to see that most job postings list a degree as required. I've tried everything I can possibly imagine to encourage him to keep looking. Shit. But I just end up feeling like a micromanager, and it makes me even more depressed than he already is. His lack of motivation really isn't sexy. I mean, on top of everything else, this isn't hot
sexy
at all. Yeah, I'm starting to stress out about paying for everything if he doesn't get his act together and get a job. How should I approach this? I've tried to explain my feelings calmly, and it doesn't really seem to have any effect. What do you think? She writes, thanks for your insight, the breadwinner. I love that sign out.
I like her. She's good at emails.
She's great. I mean, also 21. This is the most mature 21-year-old in the world. What do you...
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I think that unemployment's really hard. It's easy to slip into that depression. I've been there. Where you're just like, I don't know. Like, you just get into the routine, especially now, when it's a little harder when no one is up and going around. I get that.
To get personal too, I know, we've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
You've been out of work at times, like sending in, when people don't know, like if you want to write on a TV show, they basically send you a homework assignment that would take a month to do. And they say, get it done in a week. And
you're not making money on it.
And you're not making money doing it. And you're basically not given a lot of information. They put the pages you wrote, the little project they gave you, they give you that little packet you send in, gets put on a pile, and you kind of hope for the best, and you never hear back. So like
brutal.
Going into this place, and listen, I've been in that position. I know you've done more of those writing submissions than I have. So I'm saying we understand the idea of like, man, this feels like a mountain that isn't even worth climbing. Like I don't even want to like, why am I even doing this?
Right. And like now I just have to I have to wait for, like, you start to feel defeated. You start to feel like, I understand that emotional space, and like I get why, like, and the last thing you want is somebody telling you to do anything differently. However, and also telling you. And the one thing I'll say to the emailer, the one thing I would kind of stray away from is I wake up 7:30 every day and work for 8 hours. Like, he's never going to get to 8 hours. He needs to get to 1 hour. Right.
You know, and like, I mean, a college degree kind of gets this like, you know, gets this like this
pedestal?
lofty space, this pedestal. But like, even if he was like, listen, I'm going to acquire a skill, like to put off till the spring getting a college degree, but for what? Like, what does that mean? Is that just putting off time? Is that just adding more time, giving you more time? Like, if he was like, if you looked at him and said, hey, like, I would make it about bills instead of about degrees.
Overall, like, just keep it a little bit more day to day, week to week.
Yeah.
Because that's more manageable to think about for him. And like, it's not like, oh God, it's going to be months before I go to school, or it could be a year before I get a job. Like, it's like, what are we doing this week about this?
And if you say he's going on Facebook every day, if he's going on Facebook every day, that means he's looking at other people that he cannot add up to tomorrow. He just can't. He can't keep pace with whatever life they're putting on Facebook. So I would say to him, what's the plan to pay bills this week? I would go that way, and then you say
whatever that short term is.
Yeah, and then it's like, hey, if you need to drive for Uber, if you want to go, if you want to go get a skill, and I that kind of gets annoying to tell someone too, because then they're like, what skill? And you go, I don't know what's Pat. I mean, like, I remember I had my brother on my couch, living with me in a studio apartment. While he was looking for jobs for a long time. And I remember saying to him, could you have a job while you spend 20 minutes a day looking for your dream job?
Yes.
So it's like, this guy could spend 20 minutes a day writing down what he'd like to do. Like, that would even be more than what he's doing now.
And like, if it's about him getting just something temporary, driving for Uber for the month just to kind of make sure bills are paid, or doing some other thing, or what, like, doing anything makes doing more things easier. Like, if I have 100 things to do in a day, I will do 90 of those things. If I have one task to accomplish between the time I wake up and the time I go to sleep, that's happening 2 weeks from now. Like, I cannot, like,
that is the best advice. I'm sitting right now next to a yellow legal pad. And the list is here. A good day, I get a lot done. A bad day, I get zero done. But the list still stares at me.
Yes. And like, once you've accomplished one thing, like, sometimes that task is like, I have to go downstairs to the post office, which is below my apartment, and mail one letter. And I'm like, I don't know, I just can't do it. But if I'm like, but if I have to do a bunch of other things and that letter is one thing on the list, it's so easy for me to be like, oh, I'll like run downstairs and do it. And then I'm going to come back up. I'm going to take this call and I'm going to do this. Like, it's just like, once you're functional and doing something,
it snowballs.
You're in the groove.
Yeah, you get in the groove. I had that happen this morning as I'm like looking at, like, I should get the mail. Open the mail.
We have a lot of mail problems.
A lot of mail problems. I mean, the U.S. Postal Service is in trouble. They needed the plug. I don't know. We are sponsored, people. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Nutrafol. Nutrafol. Ladies, I know you don't think it will happen to you, but some of you are losing your hair. And if you don't know, you don't even know it. Starting again. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Nutrafol. Nutrafol. Ladies, I know you don't think it will happen to you, but some of you are losing your hair and you don't even know it. 30 million women experience weakened or thinning hair, but thousands of women have taken back control of their hair with Nutrafol. Improve hair growth and thickness with less shedding through all stages of life. You'll begin to experience thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in 3 to 6 months. I gotta say, if this is on your mind, Nutrafol is a great solution for you. It is an option to take and to look into. I gotta say, full, thick hair, that is something we all kind of aspire to. I look at myself in the mirror and I go, is it? Peace of mind is really what Nutrafol offers, and it's great. Nutrafol is a physician formulated to be 100% drug-free. They use natural, clinically effective botanicals. It works by targeting the 5 root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, environment, nutrition, and metabolism. It's easy to get help. Visit Nutrafol.com and take their hair wellness quiz for customized product recommendations. When you subscribe, you'll receive monthly deliveries so you never miss a dose. Does it work? Yes. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after 6 months. More than 1,500 top doctors recommend it. No, more than 1,500 top doctors recommend it. Here we go, people. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and using promo code JTRAIN. And new customers will get 20% off. This is their best offer available anywhere. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get 20% off at Nutrafol.com. Nutrafol.com. Promo code JTRAIN for 20% off. Stand up for your strands and get Nutrafol. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. JTrainPodcast at gmail.com. Allison Lobby at Allison Lobby. Third wheeling in my own home.
Okay.
His Royal Highness, the Lord of Board. Thanks for doing the Lord's work and keeping me sane during quarantine. I'm a 25-year-old living in Los Angeles. My roommates started dating a guy about 6 weeks into quarantine. They were Facebook official within 3 dates. Didn't know people still did that, but okay. I love that passive aggressive. Didn't know people did that, but okay.
Yeah, okay.
Ever since, he stays at our apartment every weekend, and it's really starting to get to me. They Skype his and her families every Sunday in our living room. I've been asked to put in headphones while listening to music so that he could make a phone call. The worst one for me is that they have shower sex in our shared bathroom, and they'll do it at like 2 p.m. on a Saturday. At least do it while I'm not home or asleep so they can remain blissfully ignorant. My question is, how do I handle this? Am I overreacting? I feel crazy for being so bothered by it. How would you suggest a compromise? I really want to know what you think. Sincerely, third wheeling in my own home. P.S. I can already hear you saying this is such a female issue. So let me really drive home the point. They both have green text phones. I included this only so you know the kind of monsters we're dealing with.
This is a fun one.
Fun email. This isn't as much a female issue, but I think the problems with bringing up are somewhat female. But because I would say to start, like the things that are the weapons that are used against amongst women in this situation are tough.
Right. This is a real problem for everybody. The examples she lists feel female, even though I think that there are a lot of problems with this kind of like situation.
This could happen in any three, whatever the genders are, whatever you're identifying as. If 3 people live in a home, or if 2 people live together and one other person comes into that home, there's issues.
Yes.
And if 2 of those people are having sex and one of them's not, there's even more issues.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. I think the problem with it being like female is like it will be hard for her to broach this conversation without the roommate turning it into you're jealous.
You've read my mind completely. This is the problem.
Even though it does have to be addressed, and I do not think that this woman should have to live like this.
She shouldn't have lived like this. She's not overreacting. I would say her languaging, it digs her a hole.
Yeah.
She starts the email, and again, this isn't a female issue. It's the way you're going about it that feels female to me. When you write to me, they were a Facebook official within 3 dates. That is a point of information that, listen, it helps tell us the story.
Sure.
You're screwed if you bring that up to her. If you say to her, like, hey, you guys got too serious too quick, it's going to be...
Then it's all about emotions and not about logistics.
Exactly. And you've lost this argument because then it becomes about again, just like you said, you're jealous of us, or you're just upset that you don't have anybody and you're lonely because of quarantine, or it's if you were having more sex, or like it just
becomes a whole other thing.
She needs to stick to the facts.
Yeah. And I think like just presenting it like as like a scenario and logistics is what will like keep it kind of like away from getting like emotionally spiraling into like a relationship problem. Like it's just like, hey, like we're all kind of stuck at home for more than we would normally be. He's here. I don't know exactly like how and when to say this yet, but like it's that like we're both home a lot. He's here a lot. Like we just need to find a way that we all feel like we have access to the space that you and I pay rent on.
Totally. And I don't know what the words are, but also you could say you can give yourself credit. Like, listen, I don't mind that he's waltzing in here every weekend after I don't know where he's been. Like, he is in my space during a pandemic when people are saying you have to be around people you know are safe. And that's not to say he isn't being safe, but I'm saying I'm letting a lot of stuff slide.
He's the variable. Yeah.
He's the variable. And we have one bathroom. We have one shared space. There's not a lot of places to go. And I think you have to say, like, you can't make it about the shower sex, but like I need the bathroom in the shared space a little more thoughtfulness put in for my needs and me being uncomfortable. Like, and I would even say when you ask me to put on headphones in my own home, it gets me upset.
Yes. You're allowed.
That is
she's allowed to say she's upset about this scenario because she is. Don't be all like sarcastic and pissed and like start kind of like spiraling into the negativity, but like you can be like, I feel upset. I feel not, that my place in this apartment isn't being as respected as I would like it to be.
Yes. I would even say, this is another, like, I would, if you want a weapon to use during this like interaction, you go, I love this guy. I love you in a relationship. I'm so happy for you both. Like, keep pushing whether you are or not.
Right.
They're together. You have to be happy for them.
There's nothing that you can do about that part. So just take that off the table as like a way to fight.
I hope I can find someone as quickly as you guys have found some. I hope I can figure out I love you guys as a couple, but it's making me upset to feel that I'm being pushed out of my own home a little bit.
Yes.
Via the shared spaces. If you go and just be a little bit more mindful that I'm here too.
Yeah.
And even those words are like, just like, way that's better. A soft start.
Yeah. And be like, what can we do to make sure that we all, like, that we both, because it's not really about him. He shouldn't really have any say in how much time he spends in the living room. He doesn't live there.
Yeah.
But you should say to her, like, if she's like, he and I spend on our Sundays here, be like, cool. Then I would love to be able to have if we need to do some scheduling just to make sure that everyone feels like they can use
Let's math it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, then at least it could be like, oh, well, you knew we'd be here on Sunday. And it's like, okay, you're right. I did know that. You told me that, and I will stay in my room. But tomorrow, I'm going to work in the living room for a bit, even though I normally work in my bedroom. Like, it's just about compromises.
Yeah. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. jtrainpodcast@gmail.com. Want to do one more?
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more. Everyone go follow
How many
Allison.
times have we said that very late at a bar? I'm like, should we just have one? Let's have one more.
That ended with a morning of going, oh my God. One more was not the right. But it's always the right answer here.
It is.
At Allison Libby. Ruined is the podcast. It's out right now. 3 episodes just waiting for you to eat right up with your ears. Boyfriend didn't tell female friend he had a girlfriend.
Okay.
Hey, I'm a huge fan of the podcast and your advice, so I'd love some help on my situation. I broke up with my boyfriend of over a year because I found out he never told a female friend he had about me or that he had a girlfriend. We started dating in June and didn't become exclusive until the end of September. They met on an app in June also, and he said she wanted more from him, so he friend zoned her in August. And that was the last time they slept together. I found out they were hanging out, never just the two of them, pretty much every week up until the quarantine. The title does not represent the severity.
This is a very different email than what I thought we were getting.
I met her randomly at a party I took him to, and I knew the energy was weird when I met her. That's when I found out he never told his ex-fling, and now good friend, he had a girlfriend. We had multiple conversations about him not introducing me to his friends, which he said at his age, 34, is hard because his friends don't get together in groups that often, and he was being slow with me because of the pain of his last relationship. Even though he had brought this girl into his group of friends end of July. He says it's easier to introduce someone as a friend versus a girlfriend. He says I am the only person he's ever thought about marrying, and our relationship was pretty much perfect except for this very big issue. He is now in therapy post our breakup. I did love him, and part of me wants to give him another chance, but this feels pretty unforgivable to me. Not to mention this girl is now in his group of friends, and I would have to be reminded of this every time we were around her in a group. What do you think?
I don't like this.
No.
It just isn't like it'd be like. I was already skeptical. I'm like, I think that when you don't disclose a relationship to a friend of yours who is the opposite gender or whoever you're attracted to, it's an intentional secret keeping, because if you're actually friends with someone and you're actually dating someone, it's kind of impossible for that not to come into a conversation one time. Like,
it's impossible.
It's very intentional if you conceal it.
Totally.
And I think that's what's not. And then for this to be like, it's not some friend from work or like just a girl he went to high school with. Like, this is somebody that he was sleeping with when you met and stopped sleeping with when you went exclusive.
Yeah,
I don't like this.
Well, that's the thing. And that I kind of want to, like, everything you say, I agree with. It's impossible to just, it's very intentional to keep you a secret from this quote unquote friend. Let's take him at a baseline honesty.
Right, just say it's a friend. And I don't necessarily think from this email that he was like fucking her. Like, I don't think
we couldn't take that step. I'm with you. Here's the problem with her email. The title of it doesn't match. She has a very different, way more, the gravity of her situation is up here.
Yeah.
And she's speaking about it. And I know it's an email to us, but
presenting it as something
as
different.
Like, maybe I'm wrong. And it's like, no, when you say boyfriend didn't tell female friend he had a girlfriend, I thought it was like a friend he had since like birth. Yeah. Like, I thought that was it. Yeah. And I was like, that's where I thought the email was going.
Right.
Then she writes a bunch of very specific problem things that I'll point out that are outside of this situation.
Right.
We had multiple conversations about him not introducing me to his friends when he said at his age, 34 is hard because his friends don't get together in groups often, and he was being slow with me because of the pain of his last relationship. Okay, let's break down that fucking sentence.
There's a lot going on in there.
The pain of his last relationship is one of those things that a lot of guys do because they know women don't think we're ever emotional. So if they bring up one emotional shield, then women are like, whoa, he really opened up to me.
Right.
And that's kind of like a blockade from like, now I have this as an ultimate excuse for any wrongdoing I do. The other thing is, I'm 35. I have a girlfriend, Jess. Yes, my hangouts don't happen in large groups at bars anymore at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
They do happen over the course of time. In a year, my friends have popped up along the way. To say, like, she might not meet them, but she's heard of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the people from that. That's Allison over, does comedy. Oh, your friends that live in Brooklyn, your friends that live in San Francisco. Like, they're brought up very easily. And it's not. So for these arguments to happen, I don't think you're being out of your wits to be like,
no,
hey, I should be hearing about these people, or they should be hearing about me.
Yeah. There's a lot of just like,
if this is serious.
Yeah. There's a lot of just just intentional, like, keeping information from someone that, like, if you were really having like an honest, real relationship, would naturally come out because you're sharing your life with this person in a way, like in both directions. Like your friends should know that you have a girlfriend, and your girlfriend should know who your friends are, because otherwise you're just in this weird, like, so the two of us just go on these dates all the time and then nothing ever, like, what?
Well, otherwise you're not opening up to that person.
Right.
I mean, it does feel, and she said he's brought this other girl into the friend group. Why was it easy for her?
That's a
and
huge
not
problem
for his girl?
for me.
Exactly.
And it's not easier to bring a girl, like a gal friend, into the group versus your girlfriend. Like, I don't think that's harder or easier. That's a decision that he made.
If anything, it's hard. Who's this friend you bring around? Oh, we met on a dating app, but we don't have sex. And she's just coming around to hang out. She's cool. Like at the other side of it, it's like, who's this girl? It's my girlfriend. That's an easier response.
And you want, like, I want to meet my friends' partners. Like, I always am like, bring him around. Let's see what he's all about. Like,
let's see how this dynamic works. I'm sure if I like you, I'll like them.
Right.
Like,
that's like what it is. So
these the whole thing feels like a lot of excuses to not let you into his emotional life, into his real life. He's keeping you a stiff arm, especially when someone says the pain of my last relationship, because you can't disagree with that.
Right. You're not allowed to question emotions.
No, at all. So I would say to her, she says, I want to give him another chance. No. I think this is over. I think you've moved on. You've made the right decision. The idea of like you versus this other girl, it's not about that. This is someone who's just not letting you in. Yeah, and he's not letting you in, and this friend isn't getting let in as well. So like, if you think like it's different for them, except they just don't have sex, or
he's lying to her, he's or keeping information and secluding himself from her in different ways. So
totally,
it's a no way he sucks.
No when he sucks. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Allison Libby, thank you for coming on.
Oh, so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
I love it.
Of course. Everyone, go check out Allison's new podcast called Ruined. It's out right now. There are 3 episodes waiting for you to subscribe to them. Ruined, every Tuesday at Allison Libby. I'm Jared Freid. We're here every Monday and Thursday with your emails, your stories, your questions. Go sign up for the Patreon. Go do it. Patreon.com/Jared Freid. $5 a month gets you 3 additional podcasts a week. That's crazy. I'm a crazy person.
That's like Burger King prices.
That's right. Quarter more for the XL. That type of shit. We'll be back next episode. Boom. Don't forget to like the video you just watched. I have many more. Subscribe to the channel right now. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, you fool. There's even a bell you can click to. Now you've got your week set Monday through Friday. I'm here for you.